What do you have to do to get some service around here?
There once was a time when the seas of organizational life were calm and predictable. The economy was healthy. Organizations were competitive, but there was opportunity for everyone. Even inefficient organizations prospered. Roles were clear. Bosses made decisions and gave orders. Workers carried them out. On the surface, there was discipline and order. But underneath, there was discontent. Workers were pitted against one another. They were treated as hired hands with assignments that hardly ever changed. Workers were afraid to make suggestions for fear of losing their jobs. They rarely questioned methods and procedures. Complacency was the order of the day. Their motto, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Organizations raced against one another to see who could be first to deliver their product. Eager customers were plentiful and easily satisfied. The rules of the game were simple and straightforward. Beat the competition and make a profit. Little thought was given to the quality of the product. When each race ended, the winners would celebrate their victory, even though their customers weren't always satisfied. Let the buyer beware was the guideline of the day. Some people thought of these as the good old days and longed for their return. But they knew that their world would never be the same again, for conditions had changed. No one knows how the Great Storm started. Organizations around the world became more competitive. Those that could not compete were taken over. The top-heavy bureaucratic management style that had served so well during the good old days now became a liability. Hostile raiders appeared. Inefficient managers disappeared. Drowning in debt, many organizations were forced to downsize their workforce to keep from going under. Widespread unemployment meant fewer customers and smaller profits. The seas of organizational life, once calm and predictable, had become turbulent and dangerous. Competition became more intense. And customers more demanding. People in organizations began to realize that there was more to winning a race than just crossing a finish line ahead of someone else. Some restructured their organizations and became larger and more powerful. Many of them became so large that they actually lost the power to perform effectively. In their panic, they became disorganized. They began to realize that size and power were not the answer. To survive, they must adapt to the changing conditions in the world around them. Those who had once been winners, but were now dead in the water, began to question time-honored beliefs and practices. They looked with fresh eyes at their turbulent world. They began to gather and analyze information more carefully. They measured and planned more precisely. They learned to think about themselves and those they served more systematically. They learned to break with the past. They learned to plan for the future. But most important of all, they learned to think and act as a team. We must learn to work together, they said. This was all new to them, so they made mistakes. But as a team, they learned from their mistakes and rejoiced in their successes. Team members were encouraged to identify problems and suggest improvements. For most of the crew, this was also very new. Where once they had been treated as hired hands, now they were encouraged to be hired heads, expected to think and take responsibility when things didn't go according to plan. They learned the meaning of words like empowerment, involvement, and group participation. When mishaps occurred, they took responsibility and worked together to deal with the situation. As they began to get the feel of this new way of doing their jobs, they found their work more satisfying. Cooperation became a way of life. They now found ways to improve what they had once accepted as being good enough. They asked, is our product as good as it could be? And they made it better. They asked, is our organization as effective as it could be? And they made it better. They asked, is our strategy for dealing with the world around us as sound as it could be? And they made it better. But others were watching and learning as well. Even when team members achieved a new standard of quality, they discovered that the process of change and improvement never ends. Where once workers were complacent and uninvolved, they now made suggestions about how to improve their performance. It did not matter who came up with a new idea, because when it worked, they all benefited. Continuous improvement became the order of the day. Gone were the days when you waited until something broke before you fixed it. And so it was that they no longer dreamed about the good old days when they raced in calm and predictable seas. For now they had a new race, not against each other or even against the storm. Rather, it was a race with themselves to achieve the best that was in each of them, and then to better themselves again and again. It was a race that would never end.